What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and this is part 2 of my iPhone 7 rumors and leaks collection, where I'll be sharing with you guys the latest leaks and rumors based on reliable sources for the iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and 7 Mini. And I just want to make it clear, I'm going to be covering new information, stuff I haven't really talked about in my last video. I don't want to keep rehashing all of the same rumors. So, latest and greatest, the iPhone 7 will not come with a headphone jack. The 3.5mm headphone jack that's been around since the dawn of time is now going to be missing on the iPhone 7. And this is very likely to happen. This is coming from an analyst that's proven to be very reliable. Now, why would Apple do this? Well, it's not the first time, they've gotten people upset in the name of progress. Removable batteries, removable internals, upgradable internals on computers, they got rid of that. DVD-ROMs, they got rid of that. They got rid of the 30-pin connector for the Lightning connector, and the MacBook got rid of all of the ports just for one USB 3.1C port. Apple isn't afraid to make people upset. This is progress for them. Now, let me explain to you why it would be a good idea to get rid of the headphone jack. And, I know a lot of people still use it, but hear me out. So first off, the headphone jack takes up a lot of room inside the iPhone. That's valuable battery room or internals that could make the iPhone more powerful, have better battery life. There's a lot of uses for that extra bit of room that headphone jack takes up. 2, it could allow for a thinner iPhone. Now, let me get this straight. Apple will not be removing the headphone jack to make the iPhone 7 thinner as an exclusive reason. We have an iPod Nano 7th generation that's only 5.4 millimeters thin and still has a headphone jack. It's very possible for Apple to make iPhones thinner and still keep it, but that's not why they're going to be removing it. 3, high definition audio. So if we were not using the headphone jack, but instead, like a rumor suggests, Apple would use the Lightning port, you could actually have higher quality audio, which would be awesome. Who doesn't want high definition audio? Now, if you still have the old headphones and you want to use them with the new one, you'd very likely have to use an adapter, which Apple will be selling you gladly for $30. And 4, most people nowadays are starting to use Bluetooth headphones. I mean, that's the new thing. All headphone manufacturers are starting to come out with Bluetooth headphones. Why keep a port around that not much people are utilizing anymore instead of being able to get more out of the phone? So there's a few good reasons not to have it. Of course, a lot of people are going to want to stick with their old headphones and all that. You don't want to buy an extra adapter just to use them. But let me tell you, Apple is not afraid to upset you in the name of progress. And Apple is said to include new Lightning connector earpods with the new iPhone 7. So, your old ones would need an adapter, but the new ones that would come with the iPhone would actually be retrofitted to fit the new Lightning jack on the iPhone 7. Next rumor floating around is that the iPhone 7 will be thinner. Now, this is something we hear almost every single year, except in the case of the iPhone 6s. The new iPhone 7 could indeed be thinner, not as a intended purpose, but as a byproduct of several factors. So 1, removal of the headphone jack could allow for a thinner chassis. 2, new material from liquid metal could be possible that Apple will design the iPhone using this material, which would allow for a stronger iPhone even at thinner levels. 3 is a new TSMC chip. So this next piece of information ties in with this one. TSMC, one of the chip makers for the iPhone 6s, will be producing 100% of the chips for the iPhone 7. And they do have a new technology called integrated fan-out chip, which would allow them to put the chip on the actual circuit board, saving a lot of room and being more efficient on the iPhone 7 logic board. So that could help contribute to a thinner phone. And in case you guys didn't know, TSMC was actually one of the 2 manufacturers for the iPhone 6s A9 chip. One of them was Samsung, one TSMC. TSMC was the better of the 2, even though it was slightly larger at 16 nanometers versus 14. And Apple even addressed this issue. Everybody called it Chipgate and all that, but pretty much TSMC was the more efficient one, gave you a little bit better battery life, between 3 to 5%. So maybe because they were able to produce more chips or are more efficient overall, Apple chose them to produce the iPhone 7 chip. Next up is the display. So this is an area where things get cloudy. A lot of people say LCD, a lot of people say Apple's pushing for OLED because they put an OLED display in the Apple Watch and it turned out great. Well, let me tell you why it won't happen. 1, it's slightly an unproven technology. I mean, it's been around forever in Samsung's, but Apple waits until the very end to adopt technology. That was the case for LTE and 4G. I mean, they waited so many generations before they were able to see that it was a proven technology and they could finally adapt it. I mean, the same thing goes for OLED. Right now, it's not perfect. It's getting better better every single year. Samsung is making huge strides in making OLED a much better technology, but basically the life of an OLED display is a little bit shorter than that of an LCD display. And it may not be that reason, but Apple is waiting for technology to meet their standards, the OLED tech, before they adopt it into the iPhone. Another reason why they're not going to be using OLED in the next iPhone 7 is because they just invested $4 billion into a new Foxconn plant that'll produce TFT LCD displays, which would be used in the production of next several generation iPhones. So OLED would be an awesome thought on the next iPhone, but it's not going to happen on the iPhone 7 for sure. So the next big rumor making waves right now is the iPhone 7 mini or iPhone 6C. So analyst Ming-Chi Kao is very confident that Apple's going to be announcing this thing very soon, within the next 2 months, likely at the end of January. He said it's basically going to replace the iPhone 5S as a smaller iPhone in the iPhone lineup. So what is it going to be? Well, it's going to be pretty much a less powerful, slightly smaller iPhone 6C with that 4-inch display. A lot of people still use their 5Ss. A lot of people are still buying 5Ss, and Apple wants to keep that smaller size going. So they're going to release an updated version of the iPhone 5S, likely to be called the iPhone 6C, not the 7 mini, as the release date with the 7 is going to happen. We're going to be seeing it a lot sooner in January if his rumor is correct. Remember, this guy has been pretty accurate. He has a good track record. So I'm honestly thinking this could really happen. So the iPhone 6C, if it were to be released, it'll come in a very nice premium finish. It will not be made of plastic like the last 5C, and it'll come in anodized aluminum with several colors, just like the iPod Touch lineup right now. It'll likely feature an A8 chip, not an A9, an A8 chip, possibly an A9, but a lot of rumors have been pointing to A8. It'll have slightly downgraded internals, likely 1 GB of RAM instead of 2 like the 6S, an aperture of 2.2 on the front-facing HD camera, and 802.11 AC Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.1. So it will not have the best specs, but it'll be a great iPhone for people that want to keep the smaller form factor, and it'll likely be a little bit cheaper as well. He says announcement end of January and actual release in February. I'm actually very excited to see if that happens. If it pans out, it'll be very unlike Apple to do that, but let's see. Let's find out. And the last point I wanted to make was a little bit off topic, but it still relates to the future of iPhones, and that's research and development. So did you guys know that Apple, out of the major tech companies right now, spends the least amount percentage-wise of their revenue on research and development, which is crucial to developing new phones? But here's the thing. Between Google, Microsoft, and even Facebook, Apple spends the smallest amount of percentage on R&D. Now, of course, they have huge revenue. That's over 8.1 billion. Microsoft is 9. So you do have a lot of money set aside for that. But it's overall, out of the revenue, it's the least amount. So why does this matter? Well, Apple is actually researching several different variations of an upcoming iPhone. Not necessarily the 7, but future iPhones in general. They're actually testing USB 3.1C jacks on the new iPhones instead of the Lightning port. It's very unlikely it'll happen with the iPhone 7, even though rumors pointed out that it might. They are testing out a version with wireless charging, which could definitely make its way to the iPhone 7. I think that's something we might see, although there aren't many rumors about it overall. They're testing dual rear-facing camera. This is a rumor we've heard for several generations of the iPhone. Maybe they're perfecting it. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with 2 cameras, selective focus when taking pictures, overall higher quality, higher resolution, better focus, all that. There's a new version with an embedded fingerprint sensor in the display. We've heard about this in the past too, and a version with 3D touch that can be used by multiple fingers, which honestly I think is a pointless feature, because to use it with 2 fingers will put a lot of pressure on the phone. It'd be kind of hard to do, I think. For iPads on a flat surface, I think that'd be a pretty cool idea. So maybe that's what Apple is working on with that. They are also working on a slightly more waterproof or water resistant iPhone. Not necessarily the 7, but like we know, the 6S got a little bit more waterproofing than the 6, so maybe the iPhone 7 and beyond could take that further to actual water resistance or waterproofing. So research and development is very important, and Apple is very clearly working very hard on future versions of the iPhone by researching things they could do now to them, which is really cool. So guys, that's just about it. The iPhone 7 shaping up to be pretty cool. I didn't cover everything about it in my last video. I covered, most of the basic details about it. This is kind of the smaller stuff, but it is exciting to know what could possibly be in our future, less than 10 months away. So I want to thank you guys for taking taking the time to watch this video. Let me know what feature you want to see in the iPhone 7 down below in the description. I'd love to hear about it from you guys. And be sure to watch part 1 where I cover most of the big details on the iPhone 7, 7 mini, and 7 Plus. So stay tuned. Hopefully we do see that 6C here in a couple months. I'd be very excited to see and review that. But thanks for watching, guys. Peace.